Football's ultimate defender, making Messi run scared. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 71, The Tragedy at Anfield. The whole stadium desperately calls for the king. No chance of reversal? Liverpool is completely finished. Half of the main players in the front court are injured. The team is already in a state of depletion. Now there is a traitor. God wants Liverpool to die. This game is completely ruined. Damn it. Before Manchester City even attacked. This guy scored a goal in his own goal. How can he play? Where did the eye-catching bag come from? Kicked into his own goal? I thought missing a player was a gift, but I didn't expect there would be a bigger gift than that. Whose idiot is this? I thought Karius's image was already invincible, but I didn't expect there would be an even more powerful image. Guardiola should kowtow to Emre Can. Compared with Chen Mo, there is no need to retreat. Emre Can is just swimming naked. Liverpool fans who originally had high hopes for the team were poured cold water by Emre Can, from head to toe, and were completely disappointed. It turns out that they think Emre Can is just okay. When Henderson was injured, Emre Can replaced Henderson as a defensive midfielder and performed well. Although there were some small mistakes, he was still qualified. But I never expected it. When he reappeared on the field and played for Liverpool, he was so abstract. Especially after seeing Chen Mo play as a defensive midfielder. The central defenders Van Dijk and Lovren behind him would catch a cold in winter. This is so different. The difference between people is greater than the difference between people and dogs. Klopp was so angry that he lost his level. He looked at Emre Can gloomily, turned his head and said to the assistant coach, "When Mo comes back, let this guy disappear from my team forever." Speechless. Especially after being used to eating fine grains like Chen Mo, looking back at Emre, he was not even considered coarse grains. Totally pig food. He was deeply disgusted. But to Guabaldi, Emre Can is delicious. It's a fucking full banquet. The premise is that he is in the opponent's team. He could see that Emre 890 Can had a big problem, and immediately gave orders to Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne on the field. Seize this point, hit him from behind, and beat him to death. David Silva, Sterling, insert more from the ribs, and insert him on both sides. Since the opponent's Emre Can's point is a loophole. Bald Guardiola will naturally not miss a good opportunity. Seize this point and beat him to death. In the stands. Chen Mo and the other four were stunned. After reacting, Sulla pursed his lips and looked at Chen Mo woodenly to ask. "Mo, are we finished?" Wijnaldum was furious and said, "The most stable defense has a traitor. This rubbish. I'm going to knock his head off." Firmino's eyes were dull, and a strong bad premonition surged in his heart. After the roar, Wijnaldum asked Chen Mo again with a guilty conscience, "Mo, should the defense still be stable? Should it be?" Looking at Emre Can on the field, Chen Mo's mouth twitched slightly, and he kept repeating in his heart. "Should be able to stabilize the defense. Should it be?" Just at this moment, a burst of curses came from the next door of their stand. "Fuck. Rubbish dog thing." Edwards stood up and cursed angrily. Ignoring the gazes of Chen Mo and the other four, Edwards took out his mobile phone and quickly made a call. The entire scout system is in action. Lock in the transfer target of the midfielder in the summer. With a top player like Mo, we can't pay him for a substitute who is worse than 10 dogs. Chen Mo's mouth twitched when he heard this. After hanging up the phone rudely, Edwards called his assistant again in an emotional state. "Go to the transfer department now. Tell them to act immediately and get that worthless bastard out of here. Get him fired in the summer window. If no one buys him, we'll just give him away for free." After giving the order, Edwards then saw that Chen Mo and the other four people next to him were staring at him in amazement. He was embarrassed for a moment. He forced a smile to cover it up. "That. You just say whether he should be kicked out or not." The four of them nodded quickly. "Right. Your decision is very wise." After receiving the order from their own head coach, Manchester City players began to frantically grab Emre Can and frantically grab him to death. David Silva and Sterling desperately inserted themselves behind him on both sides. Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne also attacked from this point, passing the ball to his back. The key is Aguero. Without Chen Mo's restrictions, this guy is in high spirits when playing Liverpool. That's a desperate attack. It's as if he regarded Emre Can as Chen Mo, and madly retaliated against Chen Mo's restrictions on him before. The main attack is to break the defense with hard force and bully with soft force. Emre Can was kicked silly. Even with Henderson and Milner, the two kept inserting behind him to help him. But it still didn't help. It was completely overwhelming. Emre Can was in a mess. He felt as if he was surrounded on the battlefield, with all kinds of shells flying around his head. There was also Aguero, who was like a tank, who ran all the way over him. He was stunned. Another Aguero's run-over breakthrough. Emre Can bit his back teeth and turned his head to chase Aguero. Fortunately, Milner made up for it in time and made a last-ditch tackle to barely break Aguero's ball. But there was no time to get up. Aguero stretched his legs again and tried to take the ball back. Milner, lying on the grass, saw Emre Can rushing over, and moved his body in a mess, crawling and rolling on the grass. After being almost snatched back by Aguero, he lay on the grass and headed the ball to Emre Can with his head. Seeing his own players fighting so hard, he fell to the ground and lost the ball. He rolled and crawled to meet the opponent's foot and headed the ball to his teammate. He was really desperate. You know, if the foot really kicked Milner on the head, it would definitely not be a trivial matter. Concussion is a minor one. If it kicked on the neck, it could be killed on the spot. Liverpool fans applauded Milner one after another. But as soon as the applause started, Liverpool fans were stunned. Emre Can probably didn't expect that Milner could get the ball from Aguero's feet and head it to him. He ran wildly without looking at the ball at all. When the ball suddenly appeared in front of him, Emre Can was shocked. He was not ready to take the ball at all. He subconsciously stretched his foot to stop the ball first, but he didn't adjust his body's center of gravity and rhythm while running wildly. His mind was even more confused, not to mention his condition. He was numb from the kick. He stretched his legs to catch the ball very reluctantly. As a result, he took a big step and directly pulled his crotch, stumbling and falling. The football was poked out by his toes at the moment of falling. Aguero turned around to catch the ball. He lifted the ball over Milner's head, who had just climbed up from the grass, and raised his head. It landed accurately behind him. Sterling just got in and shot the ball. Van Dijk's reaction speed was very fast. He took the initiative to raise his leg to block the ball. The football touched his calf and was refracted to a certain extent. The power of the shot was also resolved. The football flew softly towards the goal. Karius rushed up quickly and easily took the football off. At this point, Manchester City's attack would have ended. Emre Can was the only one who was embarrassed. Karius didn't know what happened. Maybe his brain suddenly got the wrong string, maybe he didn't want Emre Can to be alone. He wanted good brothers to be together. After he took off the football, he looked up and observed his teammates in the front court, and found that there was no good opportunity to throw the ball with a strong hand. But he did not give up the opportunity to help his teammates and quickly launch an attack. He quickly took the ball and took a few steps forward, bent down and sent a short throw with his hand. But when he threw the ball, he seemed to have not looked at his teammates at all, and threw the ball directly to Aguero, who was pressing. When he realized something was wrong and found Aguero, Karius' pupils trembled, and he ran forward quickly, trying to get the ball back. But how could Aguero miss such a good opportunity? He rushed forward and slammed the ball. Karius rushed in the direction of Aguero's slam. But the speed of rushing over was not as fast as Aguero's volley. The football went straight to the goal and rolled quickly along the grass. Karius failed to save and block the ball, and quickly got up and chased the football rolling towards the goal behind him. After chasing for a few steps, he rushed forward suddenly, trying to hold the football. But he underestimated the distance between himself and the football. When he jumped out and landed on the grass, he was 1 meter away from the football. He just watched the football roll into the goal. Continuous super huge mistakes. Emre Can's poor performance just ended, and Karius followed closely to show his abstraction. There was no interference. No pressure. How could Karius pass the ball to Aguero, who was inserted? Are those 2 holes on his face just decorations? Jean June, who was commentating, was completely broken by the relay performance of Emre Can and Karius. One of them couldn't help but spit out the words. The staff behind the scenes in the broadcast room was so scared that they broke into a cold sweat. It was too late to mute it. He quickly raised the reminder card to Zhang Lu, reminding him to interrupt Zhang Jun quickly. If Zhang Jun keeps cursing, it will become a live broadcast accident. Carious, you. Zhang Lu saw the reminder sign and heard Zhang Jun still swearing, so he interrupted him. In less than 20 minutes, Liverpool made mistakes one after another. Klopp must adjust quickly, especially Emre Can. Both goals were because of his mistakes. Including Karius's huge mistake, it all started with Emre Can. I'm stupid. As expected. It is often said that where there is a sleeping dragon, there must be a phoenix chick. The ancients are true to me. It feels like Manchester City hasn't even started yet. These two guys are so abstract. They made me laugh. The scene just broadcast, Chen Mo, Sulla, and the other four were dumbfounded. I really feel sorry for them. Liverpool fans in the stands are losing their minds. The whole team is ready to fight to the death. Why did you two turn against them? This is a Premier League player. This is a main goalkeeper of a giant club? Is the level of top league players like this? Even the Dragon's Foot can't be this abstract. Seeing Karius and Emre Can, I suddenly have hope for the Dragon's Foot again. Karius and Emre Can. The two of them are abstracted continuously, curing the mental exhaustion of the Dragon's Foot. Anxious. Edwards is anxious. Notify the transfer department immediately. Add Karius to me too. Send him away. I can even pay to send him away. Edwards' defense is broken. He suddenly feels that sending Karius and Emre Can away at a cost is a way to save money. It was these two who jointly led Liverpool out of the Champions League. The 2 rounds of the semi-finals and the final, combined with the Champions League broadcast revenue, will make Liverpool lose at least €60 million. Not to mention the €50 million in prize money if they win the championship. The total loss is €100 million. This money is enough to buy them 3 times. If he still keeps these 2 money-losing guys, the boss of Fenway Group will have to let him go immediately. Mo. Can we still hold our defense? Wijnaldum asked Chen Mo weakly. No answer. He was directly greeted by the sharp eyes of the 3 people. I really don't want to listen to you. Can you shut up? Wijnaldum quickly made a zipper gesture to the 3 people. He shut up in grievance. Substitution on the sidelines. Klopp made 2 substitutions. Emre Can was replaced by Lovren, and Karius was replaced by substitute goalkeeper Mignolet. Henderson was allowed to play as a defensive midfielder, and Chamberlain was allowed to play as a midfielder. Changed to a 532 formation. There was no chance of winning. Lose as few goals as possible. Wait for his own strong players to return, and then fight to the death with Guardiola. Karius, who was replaced, was extremely frustrated and sat on the bench with red eyes. He knew he was finished. Emre Can was still a little unconvinced, sitting next to Karius, muttering, "It's been too long since I played. I haven't adapted to the rhythm yet. If I am given time, I will definitely be able to show my top strength." Karius happened to hear all of them. Shut up now. You rubbish. You've ruined me. Are you still showing your top-level strength? Emre Can was not happy and turned the tables on him. Your strength is not good, what does it have to do with me? I don't play football, but you are not abstract. You've implicated me. Karius got red-eyed and anxious, I'm going to fuck you. He punched Emre Can. You dare to hit me? Emre Can was furious. Hit you? You've ruined me. Not only do you dare to hit you, I dare to kill you. The Liverpool bench was in chaos. Oh my God. On the Liverpool bench, Karius and Emre Can, who were replaced, wrestled 3.2 together. What a farce. Klopp is already upset enough, and these 2 guys are still making trouble. Zhang Jun and Zhang Lu were incredible. Klopp was furious. He rushed forward and pulled the 2 apart, roaring at them like a lion. Get lost. Get back to the locker room. The 2 were frightened by Klopp and ran back to the locker room in disgrace. The farce on the bench ended. But the farce on the field was still going on. The newly appointed Mignolet was not very good. At best, he was not as abstract as Karius. Not capable enough. Manchester City pressed forward with all their strength. Another goal was scored in the first half. The second half began. The two sides changed sides and Manchester City continued to attack frantically. Within 10 minutes of the opening, they scored a goal, expanding the score to 4-0. Klopp was furious, but it was of no avail. Henderson was not a pure defensive midfielder. Facing Manchester City's four number 10s, Fernandes and Gundogan, who kept inserting, the defense could not cover that much. The game lasted 86 minutes. Manchester City scored again with a long shot from De Bruyne. 5:00. The Liverpool fans in the stands looked at the score in despair and burst into tears. The score that was almost impossible to reverse made them breathless. Dog. I don't know who started to yell first, and then the whole stadium yelled slowly. Liverpool fans called out the name of their king in despair. But their king was sitting in the stands, unable to join the game and change the defeat at this moment. Finally, Jean-June said in despair. Even if Liverpool played with their full lineup in the second round, the 5-goal deficit was like a mountain blocking the way, and there was no possibility of climbing over it. Episode 72. Pochettino provokes, fight back. Klopp, go and break them down. Manchester City's best players, Karius and Emre Can. Abstract performance. Karius and Emre Can, giving Manchester City a big gift. 5 goals behind. Liverpool's Champions League journey is over, no chance of reversal. Karius and Emre Can, fighting on the bench. Liverpool's loss was as expected. Because everyone thought so before the game. The first game is the decisive battle. Guardiola made a fatal move in the first round, taking advantage of Liverpool's illness to kill Liverpool. But after the game, it still attracted widespread attention. Especially Karius and Emre Can. Some media repeatedly brought them out for comment, completely nailing the two people to the pillar of shame. Some media even believe that Karius and Emre Can's careers in Liverpool will be completely over. The summer window will definitely be cleaned up. Although in the press conference after the game, Klopp still stubbornly stated that Liverpool have not completely left the Champions League. They still have the second round of the game. But no one took it to heart. Including Guardiola. Even Guardiola said in the post-match press conference, they will not focus on the Champions League. All attention should be focused on the league to ensure that Manchester City can win the league championship. Manchester United did fall behind. But Manchester City is still not stable in the league championship. Tottenham, whose main striker Son Heung-min was suspended due to a heavy blow from Liverpool. After the game against Liverpool, they began to develop quietly, chasing points frantically, and launched a wave of winning climax. Successfully climbed to the second place in the league. Now there is only a 6-point gap from Manchester City. The key is that Manchester City has 2 fewer games. If they win 2 rounds, they will be on par with Manchester City by a few points. In addition, before the Champions League, Manchester City focused on the Champions League in order to preserve its strength. In the game against Arsenal, they rotated the starting lineup and were beaten by Arsenal 1-0. So they must ensure the stability of the league. Otherwise, there is a possibility of a car overturn. From Manchester City's perspective, there is nothing wrong with what Guardiola said. But from Liverpool's perspective, Guardiola is nakedly contemptuous. Saying this means that Liverpool has no chance of a reversal in the second round. In fact, no one in the world except Liverpool fans thinks that they can reverse Manchester City 11-1. 5 goals difference. If Liverpool wants to reverse, they must score 6 goals in the second round without Manchester City scoring. Let alone whether they can guarantee not to lose the ball in the face of Manchester City's terrifying attack group. Just wanting to score 6 goals is a very difficult thing. Even if the Giants face the bottom teams, they dare not guarantee that they can score 6 goals. Not to mention that both teams are giants. The biggest score reversal in the history of the Champions League is the miracle of Camp Nou in the first 2 seasons. Barcelona was beaten 4-0 by Paris Saint-Germain at their home ground. After returning to their home ground, they completed a stunning reversal in the last stoppage time. But it was 4 goals at that time. Liverpool was 5 goals short. Therefore, everyone has sentenced Liverpool to death. Even some Liverpool fans expressed despair in media interviews. They are finished in the Champions League. God doesn't favor them, and a lot of their main players are injured. Chelsea has also become one of the most hated clubs by Liverpool fans. The second is Everton. Because in the game against them, Salah and Firmino were both injured by them. Instead, Manchester United, the former mortal enemy, was ranked third. It may even be ranked lower. Liverpool fans have already looked down on Manchester United and think that Manchester United is not worthy of being Liverpool's mortal enemy. They are just a toy for Liverpool to manipulate. Because of the loss in the Champions League, the whole city of Liverpool seems depressed. But North London's next league opponent Tottenham seems unusually happy and joyful. Because they are about to host the game against Liverpool at home. This league game was postponed. It should have been played in the first half of the season. But because of the FA Cup replay, the game time conflict with Liverpool, it was postponed to now. It means that both league matches with Liverpool were put in the second half. In the last match, Tottenham can be said to have suffered a miserable defeat. They lost both the wife and the army. They lost the game miserably and lost a main striker. Tottenham fans once ranked Liverpool as their mortal enemy, second only to Arsenal. Another match is coming. Tottenham is ready to launch a hearty revenge against Liverpool. Especially when Liverpool was full of injured players, had just been slaughtered in the Champions League, and morale was low. And because of a wave of consecutive victories, the team was in full swing. This was a great opportunity for revenge. Tottenham could take advantage of Liverpool's weakness and beat Liverpool hard. Pochettino was even more delighted. Tottenham needed to catch up. Originally, they were worried that they would miss the opportunity to catch up with Manchester City because they could not get points from Liverpool. As a result, Liverpool suddenly became old, weak and disabled. What a good opportunity. He, Pochettino, might be really afraid of facing a strong enemy in a disadvantageous situation. But he would not be tired of bullying people by punching Nanshan Nursing Home and kicking Beihai Kindergarten. Pochettino was full of confidence in this game. Until the day of the game. Before the pre-match press conference, Pochettino was ready and waiting to drink water. The assistant coach found him in a serious and hurried manner. "Boss, it's a bit troublesome." Hearing this, Pochettino raised his eyebrows and said, "What trouble?" "I got Liverpool's big list." The assistant coach handed the Liverpool big list he had just received to Pochettino. Salah, Firmino, Chen Mo, all announced their comebacks. Their names are all included in the big list. The starting lineup is not yet certain, but they may participate in the game. Looking at the list, Pochettino was no longer relaxed. He was solemn at first, but immediately relaxed again. Klopp is throwing smoke bombs. Salah, Firmino, Chen Mo, it is impossible for them to announce their comebacks at the same time. Their injuries cannot recover so quickly, especially that Chen Mo. How long has it been, and his injury has healed? Is he a Superman? Will he recover so quickly? Pochettino said confidently. He deliberately learned about the injuries of Chen Mo, Salah, and Firmino. Salah and Firmino have been recovering from injuries for a while, but it is impossible for them to fully recover in such a short time. As for Chen Mo, it is even more impossible. How long has he been recovering? The injury needs at least a month of rest, and the team may fully recover. So Pochettino concluded that this was a smokescreen by Klopp. This has to be said. The medical professor invited by Chen Mo's mother Cortina. The old man is really something. While seeing Chen Mo, he also asked him to check on the 3 injured teammates and developed a rehabilitation plan. With his original rehabilitation plan, he really shortened the recovery time of his teammates, which resulted in the 2 returning to the team at the same time as Chen Mo. Even though Wijnaldum has recovered, he returned to the team a little late, and Klopp did not arrange for him to enter the squad directly. The pre-match press conference was officially held. Pochettino and Klopp came to the scene and shook hands in a friendly manner. He began to answer questions from reporters. Klopp answered that the player did return, but was not included in the starting lineup, but only in the squad. He would judge whether to give the player a chance to play based on the situation on the field. This answer completely made Pochettino believe that Klopp was just throwing smoke bombs. The last bit of worry disappeared. Self-confidence burst. Pochettino began to talk a lot. Are you confident about this game? Of course I am confident. Tottenham has won a series of games. I think it is enough to beat Liverpool. After all, we still have a previous account to settle. Currently, Tottenham has entered the battle for the league championship, and the game against Liverpool must be won. It is best to step on Liverpool and suppress Manchester City to win the championship. I don't think this Liverpool team can bring too much threat to our Tottenham. I hope they can play an excellent game, otherwise even if it is revenge, Tottenham will not be happy. After all, if revenge is not gorgeous, there will be no pleasure of revenge. The reporters were very happy. Pochettino's words are all hot topics. Especially Klopp beside him, his face has turned black. Klopp stared at Pochettino with a bad face. He wanted to ask, "What exactly gave you the confidence to be so arrogant? Are you too arrogant? Or is my brother unable to hold the knife?" The reporter was not afraid of making trouble and asked Klopp a question. "Mr. Klopp, what do you think of Mr. Pochettino's speech? Do you think he will succeed in revenge?" Klopp sneered, "I hope he can still laugh after the game." After that, Klopp stood up and walked away from the press conference hall. Seeing Klopp walk away, Pochettino pouted and complained, "How rude. You can't be a gentleman like me at all." As soon as these words came out, the reporters in the audience showed an unbelievable look. Obviously, they were all shocked by the fat man's thick skin. TV1. This is TV1 Sports Channel. What will be broadcasted for you is the Premier League Tottenham home game against Liverpool. I am today's commentator, your old friend John June. I am Zhang Lu. In the broadcast room, the two representatives began to analyze the game. The match between Tottenham and Liverpool has also attracted considerable attention. British media called this match a revenge match for Tottenham. In the last match, Tottenham was beaten by Liverpool and the Son Heung-min boxing incident broke out. The two teams became enemies and became mortal enemies. This match was even nicknamed a boxing derby by some British commentators. Liverpool just experienced a big defeat, and its morale was low, and it also lost the advantage of playing at home. On the other hand, what about Tottenham? After the last match against Liverpool, it immediately started a winning streak and jumped to second place in the standings, only 6 points behind Manchester City with 2 fewer games. The championship race against Manchester City has already begun, so the 3 points in this game are not only revenge for Tottenham, but will also determine the ownership of the Premier League championship, which must be won. Jean June popularized the situation of the two teams and the importance of this game to all fans. Zhang Lu immediately said, "Liverpool's situation in this game is indeed worrying. They are now in a period of low morale." That's right. Jean June nodded, but according to the roster given by both Liverpool teams, Chen Mo, Salah, and Firmino have all returned from injury and entered the roster. The return of the three players and the return of Liverpool's main players may be the decisive factor in determining the outcome of this game. However, Klopp also said at the pre-match press conference that the three players were not included in the starting list, and he would decide whether to play or not. White Hart Lane Stadium. Players from both sides entered the field. The broadcast camera also deliberately swept to the bench. On the bench of Liverpool, Chen Mo, Salah, and Firmino had already sat down and talked and laughed with each other. Then the camera turned again. In the stands, the banned Korean boy Son Heung-min and his father also came to watch the game. Son Heung-min had a very painful time during this period. He was banned from playing, and the club wanted to terminate his contract with him, and they are currently discussing it. The club boss Levy was very tough and did not give him any chance at all. How could this stingy old man who regarded money as his life give Son Heung-min a chance to occupy the toilet and pay him a salary? In addition, in order to maintain his condition, his father made a strict training plan for him. He was physically and mentally exhausted by his father every day. Son Heung-min was full of anger. He came to watch the game and saw Tottenham beat Liverpool and Chen Mo with his own eyes. But he was a little disappointed that Chen Mo did not start. Except Emre Can was replaced by Arnold. Klopp used the 532 formation in the last game. Karius returned to the starting lineup. Klopp is in a difficult situation. Mignolet had just played less than one game, and even if his performance was not good, Klopp was ready to continue using him. But he failed at the critical moment. He fell down on his bicycle and broke his leg. No one was available, so he had to bring back Karius, the guy who could give him a heart attack at any time. In the first half of the game, Klopp was still ready to stabilize first. But Tottenham put out a lineup full of offensive posture. The attack started at the beginning of the game. They bombarded Liverpool's half. They used Harry Kane, the high point, to frequently create crises for Liverpool. There was no pressure from the midfield. Eriksen became the god of love again, making various passes, as if he was dominating the game. But Liverpool's defense was relatively stable and they did not lose the ball too early. Until the 23rd minute of the game. Spurs players played a series of ground passes and cuts, finding the gap left by Arnold's untimely retreat. 3 consecutive passes broke through Liverpool's defense. Harry Kane leaned on Van Dijk with his body to help set up the cannon and pass the ball back to Ali, who was inserted. Ali kicked the ball violently. The ball broke through Liverpool's goal. In an instant, White Hart Lane was filled with violent cheers. Tottenham took the lead. Pochettino celebrated with a crazy fist. In an emotional state, he rushed to the edge of the coaching area. He roared and provoked Klopp, who was standing in the Liverpool coaching area. "Do you think you can just put on a turtle shell? I'll smash it with one punch. Come and fight back if you have the guts. Coward." He was really too proud and arrogant to the extreme. Klopp's face suddenly became gloomy. "Provoking me? Grandma. I really give you face. I was planning to play it safe first, but since you are looking for death, I will give you what you want." He turned to the assistant coach and asked him to notify the 4th official to make a substitution. Then he waved to Chen Mo and the other 2. Mo, Salah, Firmino. "You 3 go on the field. Go on the field and play as you please. Beat them." Tottenham takes the lead. Del. Liverpool substitutions. Chen Mo, Salah, Firmino all stood on the sidelines. In the 30th minute of the game, Klopp chose to use up all the substitutions. The 3 players who returned from injury were substituted on the field. The Liverpool fans at the scene welcomed the return of the 3 with cheers and welcomed the return of the king with worship. Their king is back. Episode 73, a lone rider on a 1,000-mile journey. Sweeping across White Hart Lane, shattering Tottenham's title dream. A dead ball. The referee stopped the game and pointed to the sidelines. The 4th official raised the substitution sign. Chen Mo, Salah, and Firmino stood on the sidelines and high-fived their teammates. The Tottenham fans at White Hart Lane were instantly quiet. Just like their head coach Pochettino, they instantly calmed down from the excitement and frenzy just now. Klopp used the smile disappearing technique. All Tottenham fans, Pochettino. And after Tottenham scored, Son Heung-min stood up from his seat and celebrated wildly with his arms raised. The smile on his face disappeared instantly. The entire White Hart Lane Stadium was only a small number of Liverpool fans who came to watch the game away from home, cheering wildly. They roared wildly, encouraged their arms, and waved the Liverpool flag. In this way, they welcomed their own players to appear, celebrating the return of their king. Chamberlain, Solanke, and Robertson were replaced. Liverpool changed to 352. Defenders, Matip, Van Dijk, Luo Tenluan. Midfielders, Arnold, Henderson, Chen Mo, Milner, Maine. Forwards, Salah, Firmino. Seeing the 3 players on the field, Liverpool's lineup. Pochettino stood on the sidelines, and he was completely different from the one who had just blasted Klopp. Without the arrogance just now, the whole person became solemn and even a little truthful. Everyone was confused. A voice kept echoing in my mind. "It's not a smoke bomb. Klopp didn't release a smoke bomb. These 3 people really recovered. It's impossible. This is unreasonable." A burst of doubts and questions. But the 3 people on the field gave him a blow, which gradually made him sober. He was calculated. Damn it. Klopp really wanted to fight against him. Mr. Pochettino. At this time, Klopp reached the edge of the coaching area again and shouted at him. At this moment, Klopp put his hands in his pockets, not knowing how to teach his opponent a lesson. Seeing Pochettino looking over, Klopp looked up from the field with a pretentious look on his face. "Please pay attention. The counterattack you want is coming." One sentence. Pochettino's expression was distorted, and his mood was heavier than his father's death. On the bench, the Tottenham substitutes looked at each other. The assistant coach looked at Pochettino with a face full of resentment. "Why did you provoke him? That guy didn't intend to really fight, but you had to run over to provoke him. Is this good now? He's really doing it." The game started again. With the appearance of the three players, the situation suddenly reversed. Liverpool switched from defense to offense. The heavy metal storm began to rage wildly on the field like a tornado. Tottenham's attack seemed to be cut off. Liverpool's overall formation pressed forward, continuously squeezed Tottenham's formation and compressed their space. The pressing ability in the front field increased by who knows how many times. The one who was most touched was their attacking midfielder Eriksen. From the moment he saw Chen Mo come on as a substitute, he recalled some horrible memories, and was suddenly hit by the memory of death. His scalp was numb. As expected, Chen Mo was the one targeting him. He attacked him madly. As soon as he got the ball, Chen Mo would appear beside him, just a face-to-face. He would be empty under his feet. That damn football was like a dog. As long as Chen Mo came over, he would decisively abandon him and return to the arms of his master. Negative emotion value from Eriksen plus 632. Negative emotion value from Eriksen plus 699. Negative emotion value from Eriksen. Chen Mo was so happy. Eriksen is definitely the best wool. Last time he was a little bald, but after not seeing him for a while, he has grown again. Of course he won't be polite. He was intercepted by Chen Mo again. Eriksen was obviously depressed. After the interception, Chen Mo decisively passed the ball. A soul-stirring through ball, a Candide Hawes. Continuously passed through Dell and Trippier. Accurately found Main, who had killed behind the two. Negative emotion value from Dell plus 362. Negative emotion value from Trippier plus 111. Beautiful. An incredible through ball, continuously passing Dell and Trippier, penetrating the entire wing of Tottenham. Incredible. After Chen Mo stole the ball from Eriksen, he immediately passed the ball to attack. An imaginative through ball. Absolutely master level. Such a pass is not as simple as passing. His pass has become an art. Jean Jun saw Chen Mo pass the ball straight through the crotch like a scalpel, and they cheered involuntarily. At this moment, when he got the ball, Main did not choose to cut inside. And a fake move scared Davinson Sanchez, who quickly moved his body to block his space to cut inside. But Main chose to carry the ball to the bottom. At the same time, Firmino and Salah quickly entered the penalty area. Especially Firmino, who used his body to push Virginton away. Main made a decisive cross. Firmino jumped high. He faced the goal with his back, and he was not competing for the header to score a goal. Firmino's biggest feature is that he likes to be a shield striker and assist his teammates. He is a combination of the world's top midfielder and center forward. Bang! His forehead hit the football hard. The football was hit hard by his head hammer and hit outside the penalty area. After passing the ball, he ran forward and got rid of Dale's Chen Mo. Salah immediately entered and moved forward to the right at the moment when Firmino headed back the ball. He attracted the attention of Ben Davies and Dembele. He took them away directly. He opened up space for direct shooting. The gun was already set up. The target was also covered. The rest was to fire. Facing the football that was hit, Chen Mo did not make any adjustments. When the football fell in mid-air, he raised his foot and shot it. It exploded in the air. The football was injected with huge power, like a shockwave from the explosion, and it fell to the ground at a high speed towards the goalkeeper Lloris. There was no obstruction. Lloris didn't even have time to react. It went straight into the goal. 1:1. Just after Chen Mo and the other two came on as substitutes, they helped the team equalize the score in less than 5 minutes. Beautiful. The ball went in. Chen Mo. Just less than 5 minutes after coming on the pitch, he scored with a non-stop volley. Continuous cooperation, coherent passing. After receiving Chen Mo's through ball, Main deceived Davinson Sanchez and did not choose to cut inside, but dribbled the ball to the bottom and passed it. Firmino won the header in the penalty area and headed back to set up a cannon. Sulla quickly moved forward with the defensive player, opened up the gap in the Tottenham penalty area, and created a scoring space. Chen Mo scored a beautiful goal. Others also performed well. This is a textbook teamwork. Everyone has their own responsibilities and created the foundation for the goal through their own actions. Originally, after Chen Mo stole Eriksen, the White Hart Lane Stadium was filled with crazy boos from Tottenham fans. But Chen Mo's sudden volley shot made the White Hart Lane Stadium quiet instantly. All the Tottenham fans present seemed to be strangled by the throat, unable to make any sound. After Liverpool fans reacted, they all roared. Seeing Chen Mo rush to the stands, he raised his arms in front of them and made his signature celebration gesture. Their cheers and roars became more enthusiastic. They even cooperated in worshipping. At this moment, their king is back. They once again worshipped their king in excitement. Awesome. Godemo is awesome. This goal is so cool. Too violent. I like it so much. King of White Hart Lane. Godemo is facing the Spurs fans with his big move. Normal operation. Godemo was still at Stamford Bridge last time. Chen Mo and Firmino, Sulla, Main, and other teammates all high-fived to celebrate. After the celebration, he quickly ran to his own back half. The game started again. Being Chen after Mo's strong equalizer, Pochettino was a little panicked. 3 points are important. It's not just about the championship. Once you lose the precious 3 points, it will be difficult to compete for the league championship. Besides, he didn't want to be slapped in the face. He wanted to save his face. He had already boasted at the pre-match press conference. If he lost this game, he would really lose face, lose his reputation, and become a laughingstock of everyone. In order to prevent this from happening, Pochettino began to urge the players to attack frantically. So after the game resumed, Tottenham started another strong attack. Press forward across the board. Ali dribbled the ball forward frantically, quickly broke through Henderson, and moved forward from the ribs. The speed kept increasing, tearing Liverpool's lineup. At this moment, Chen Mo quickly followed up, rushed out from Ali's right side, and quickly intercepted the football under his feet. At the moment of touching the football, he raised his toes and lifted them up. The football was lifted up. Before Ali could react, the football passed over his head and fell behind him. With his left foot as the axis, Chen Mo made a quick 180-degree turn and left Ali behind him. Beautiful. Artistic steal. The lob is a steal. Facing Ali's dribbling, Chen Mo suddenly rushed out, aimed at the football and intercepted it, and then lobbed the ball over Ali's head, completing a difficult and spectacular steal. It's incredible. Chen Mo is like an elf, he can do everything on the court. It's so beautiful. Turning around in one go, Chen Mo quickly dribbled the ball forward, and Liverpool's attack began again. Dyer rushed to Chen Mo to intercept. Dembele followed closely. On the court, Chen Mo, who was dribbling the ball, seized the opportunity and kicked the ball with the outside of his foot. The ball went around Del, who rushed over and rolled behind him. It drew a semicircular arc on the grass. Chen Mo suddenly exerted force and accelerated forward. The explosive power brought by the body of the demon child was fully demonstrated. He brushed past Del sideways and got the ball behind Del. Instantly. With a buckle of the right foot. The instep of the left foot kicked the bottom of the ball fiercely. Facing Dembele, who rushed over, he passed the ball through his crotch. Dembele's reaction speed was very fast. He braked suddenly, quickly put his thighs together, bent his knees and knelt down facing the grass. He wanted to intercept the ball that went through his crotch in this way. But the speed of the ball was very fast, and the speed of his action could not keep up with the speed of the ball. In the end, he knelt on the grass and still failed to intercept the ball. He watched Chen Mo run past him. He subconsciously leaned back and reached out to grab Chen Mo's jersey, wanting to use a tactical foul to hold Chen Mo and prevent him from passing. But he grabbed nothing. He lost his balance and fell backward on the grass. Chen Mo continued to move forward with the ball. The Tottenham defenders were instantly in a state of panic. Central defender Verhoeven chose to take the initiative and rushed towards Chen Mo. But it was this initiative that completed the gap in the back line. Chen Mo noticed the loophole through the god's perspective. Without waiting for Verhoeven to rush up, he slammed the outside of his right foot at the bottom of the football. The football flew over Verhoeven's head like a dragon, and drew a rainbow in the air. It fell directly to the right side of the Tottenham penalty area. And at that position, a figure wearing a red number 11 jersey suddenly broke out from the rib defense line of Tottenham. No adjustment was needed. There was no need to stop the ball. The football landed accurately in front of his left foot, and he just needed to dribble forward like normal. The ball went in. Sulla scored his first goal after returning from injury. From Chen Mo's assist. Chen Mo steals the ball from Ollie. He dribbles forward and passes two opponents. His outside foot is like a rainbow, and he accurately sends the ball to Sulla's feet. 2:1. Liverpool takes the lead. The moment of the goal. The Tottenham fans at White Hart Lane are quiet again. The whole stadium is filled with the celebration of Liverpool fans again. Beautiful. The moment of seeing the goal. Klopp excitedly punches the air. Then he immediately yells at the field. Great job, boys. Just play like this. Keep going. According to Klopp's request. After the game restarted. After regaining the ball from Tottenham, Liverpool once again launched a crazy attack. One wave after another. Tottenham was exhausted from defense and had no chance to attack at all. The third time Tottenham's goal was scored in the first half, overtime. Henderson cut off a Tottenham counterattack and shoveled the ball from Ali's feet to Chen Mo. Chen Mo immediately launched a long pass and found Arnold, who was on the side. Arnold dribbled the ball all the way to the end line, changed direction twice in a row, and suddenly crossed the middle of the penalty area. Firmino, who rushed all the way to the penalty area, naturally accepted the gift with a smile. He easily pushed the ball into the goal and scored Liverpool's third goal. The second half started. Although Pochettino made substitutions. But facing Liverpool, which was balanced in offense and defense and full of attacking firepower at the moment, he had no power to resist. Less than 5 minutes after the start, Chen Mo passed the ball again and assisted Maine to score. When the game came to the 67th minute, Liverpool's front court attack group began to pass the ball without stopping and advanced into the Tottenham penalty area. After Tottenham scored 3 consecutive goals, Chen Mo finally passed the ball through Vertonghen and Davinson Sanchez. Firmino successfully beat the offside. A powerful shot scored again. But Liverpool's attack was not over yet. They were still venting their firepower crazily. The game was 76 minutes. Maine made a triangle pass. Chen Mo kicked a curved ball straight into the dead corner, hitting the goal with an unstoppable outside instep. Laurie's negative emotions exploded wildly. Until the game entered the final overtime. Tottenham was still being suppressed. Pochettino was now on the sidelines, his face full of sadness. His eyes were not satisfied with the bloodshot staring at the bloody points game. 1:8. The visiting team was behind. Liverpool's terrifying offensive firepower swept across his White Hart Lane. 8 goals seemed to overwhelm Pochettino and shattered Tottenham's dream of winning the championship. He was full of grief and anger. But there was nothing he could do, and the whole person was filled with a deep sense of powerlessness. Another whistle sounded. Liverpool scored again. Arnold grabbed the second landing point and scored a world wave with a lob shot. 9:1. Tottenham was slaughtered again. Episode 74, heavy artillery clusters are in place, bomb them. Liverpool comes for revenge. The game is over. The manic Liverpool swept Tottenham Hotspur at White Hart Lane, sweeping away the previous slump of the Champions League first-round defeat. It also proved to the world. The complete Liverpool, the Liverpool with all the players returning, how powerful the firepower is. One game, some are happy and some are sad. Liverpool boosted their morale and set their sights on the second round of the Champions League. What about Manchester City? Because of Liverpool's sweep, the pressure to compete for the championship in the league is much smaller. Only Tottenham Hotspur was injured and achieved a world. They were blocked by Liverpool at their own doorstep and beat up at their own home at White Hart Lane. Not only did they experience a humiliating defeat, the declaration of revenge became a joke. Every bold statement made by Pochettino before the game made him completely turn into Xiao Tian step by step. More importantly, their dream of competing for the championship was shattered by Liverpool. There are only a few rounds left in the league. Manchester City is facing the bottom teams. But what about Tottenham? There is another game against Manchester City for 3 points. There is also a North London derby with Arsenal. Will Manchester City give them a chance? Will Arsenal watch them compete for the championship? How is it possible? Let's not talk about Manchester City, let's talk about Arsenal, their mortal enemy. They would rather relegate than let them win the championship. How many times in history, Tottenham entered the critical period of the championship, but were abruptly stopped by Arsenal? Not only the League, FA Cup, League Cup, but also the earliest British championship. Tottenham Club has only won the Audi Cup in history, and Arsenal has contributed 80% to this reason. Not to mention the two strong enemies, just say that the current tragic defeat has brought an all-round blow to the team. The morale brought by the massacre has fallen to the lowest point. Not to mention facing strong enemies, facing the bottom teams in the next few rounds of games may overturn. Pochettino has to find a way to boost the morale of the team quickly. But he has no time to think about those. It doesn't matter whether the team's morale is revived or not. What he is facing now is the post-match press conference. He has to be like a clown, standing on the execution platform and facing the torture of all reporters. Pochettino can even imagine it. Those reporters will bring out his pre-match bold words and attack him crazily. It will be more painful than beheading. Thinking of this, Pochettino's face turned pale. After returning to the locker room, he looked at his disciples who were in his position, bowed their heads and said nothing. Pochettino didn't have time to comfort them. His eyes were frantically looking for the assistant coach. That's right. Pochettino's biggest advantage is retreat. Find someone to take the blame for him. But after searching for a long time, the assistant coach's figure did not appear in his field of vision. His assistant coach had already hidden away. The moment the referee blew the whistle to end the game, he ran away at the speed of a 100-meter sprint. He has been following his boss for so long. He knows the boss too well. Last time Liverpool slaughtered him, they threw him out and tortured him. How could he be fooled twice? Mr. Head Coach, the press conference is about to start. The club's press officer, regardless of Pochettino's current mood, ran into the locker room and frantically urged Pochettino. Duh. Pochettino sighed tragically, turned and left the locker room, and set foot on the road to the club's press hall. Looking at his back, there was a kind of wind whistling and Ishue was cold, and the Warriors would never return once they left. Post-match press conference. Pochettino arrived first. Instantly, there was a noisy sound in the venue. The flashlights flashed wildly at Pochettino. The reporters were even more eager to try. They didn't care about Klopp, who hadn't arrived yet, and they prepared a lot of questions, wanting to launch a fatal attack on Pochettino. Looking at the appearance of these reporters, Pochettino pursed his lips, his face paler. He could imagine it. Each of these guys who were so excited held a knife in his hand. Just waiting for the moment to start, waving the knife in his hand, slashing at his heart. Finally, Klopp, with a bright face, strode into the press room. Seeing Pochettino's appearance, Klopp laughed wildly in his heart. On the surface, he was even more deliberate, pretending to show concern. Mr. Pochettino, what's wrong? You look very bad. Are you feeling unwell? Do you need to take a rest? What is killing people and cutting their hearts? What is attacking his heart? 3 questions in a row, like Klopp's signature farmer's 3 punches, hammered Pochettino's injured little heart. Ignore Klopp. He is not afraid of losing control and rushing up to strangle this guy who is taking advantage of the situation. The 2 head coaches arrived. The press officer announced the start of the post-match press conference. Reporters can start asking questions. In an instant, all the journalists drew their knives and pointed them at Pochettino with a smile. Mr. Pochettino, how do you feel now? Being swept by Liverpool again, do you think this is normal? Before the game, you despised Liverpool. Was it tactical contempt or your arrogance? 9-1 score. Do you want to use this method to help Liverpool boost morale because Liverpool is about to play the second round? With such a huge score, can we admit that Tottenham's championship has really become a joke? We noticed that when Tottenham scored the first goal, you yelled at Mr. Klopp on the sidelines. Are you inviting Liverpool to start his strong attack on you? Hard. Hard fist. Pochettino's face was ashen. His lips were shaking uncontrollably because of his rage. Enough. Pochettino slapped the table hard and stood up suddenly. You are insulting me, humiliating me. I don't accept your humiliation. I am the head coach of Tottenham Hotspur, not a toy for you guys. Let you take the damn questions, go to hell. Furious. After running wildly at the reporters, Pochettino turned and walked towards the door. But at this moment, Klopp's voice came from behind him. No manners at all. Not a gentleman at all. At the pre-match press conference, his words teasing Liverpool were returned by Klopp verbatim. Word for word. Not very harmful, but extremely insulting. Pochettino stumbled and almost fell to the ground, gritting his teeth and quickly fled the press hall. Everything was seen by Klopp. Old Klopp felt comfortable now. He grinned with 8 teeth and spoke to all the reporters. We performed very well in this game. Liverpool's offensive line returned, proving our terrifying firepower. I don't want to comment too much on the game just now. What I want to say is that we have now focused on the second round of the Champions League. As soon as this was said, the reporters became excited. Mr. Klopp, in the first round of the Champions League, your Liverpool suffered a disastrous defeat and fell 5 goals behind Manchester City. Now you say that you are focusing on the second round of the Champions League. Do you think your team has a chance to reverse Manchester City at Etihad? Klopp's eyebrows were frivolous, revealing an arrogant look. Why not? Manchester City can score 5 goals against us at Anfield, so why can't we score 6 goals against them at Etihad? The reporter was immediately more excited. Someone deliberately ridiculed Klopp. There is no history of falling behind in football in the history of the Champions League, and the history of reversal in the second round. Can I ask you if you are dreaming? Klopp smiled disdainfully. Then you should continue to study the history of the Champions League. Then come back and tell me who was the leader of the greatest Istanbul miracle in the history of the Champions League. Liverpool is good at creating miracles. The lineup was incomplete in the first game, but now that Liverpool's offensive group has all returned, look at our offensive history. We just scored 9 goals against Tottenham at White Hart Lane. Klopp raised his hands and stretched out 9 fingers, pay attention. It's 9. Such terrifying firepower is no longer the firepower of rifles in the first game. Liverpool, with all the offensive group members returning, can achieve all-round firepower coverage of the opponent's heavy artillery missile cluster. Klopp was in high spirits at this moment, and he scolded Fong Cheong in his words. He was so frustrated in the first round. Now my heavy artillery cluster is back. Just 1 sentence in the second round. Bomb it for me. Half an hour later, Manchester City, which had just finished a round of Premier League games, swept Leicester City 3:00. Guardiola walked into the press hall with a smile and attended the post-match press conference. After sitting down, the head coach of Leicester City, who suffered a terrible defeat, became a marginal figure. He was treated as nothing by all reporters. All reporters were madly targeting Guardiola. Mr. Guardiola, Liverpool just slaughtered Tottenham with a score of 9-1. Klopp said he would create a miracle at Etihad. What do you think? As soon as the question came out, Guardiola was stunned. How much? 9:1, are you sure I heard it right? The reporter nodded quickly. In the game against Tottenham, Salah, Firmino, and Chen Mo all returned from injury and played as substitutes in the game. I'm going to join. Guardiola's body trembled and he almost lost his seat. Old K's heavy artillery missile cluster is back, this is too unscientific. How did they recover so quickly? The prediction of their own medical team was inaccurate? Thinking of Liverpool's powerful front court offensive group, Guardiola was a little panicked. He has always been a paranoid, suspicious, and a little unconfident coach. Otherwise, he wouldn't do it so often. But now he quickly cheered up. He was mumbling in his heart. Don't panic. Don't panic when something happens. I am a world-famous coach, the master of passing and controlling. Guardiola tried to PUA himself, and then showed a calm smile. He raised his palm and stretched out 5 fingers, like the 5-finger mountain. We are leading by 5 goals. There has never been such a leading advantage in the entire history, but it was reversed. As soon as these words came out, reporters spoke one after another. Mr. Klopp said that Liverpool is best at creating miracles. For example, in the Champions League final, they created the greatest Istanbul miracle in the Champions League. Do you think they will also create another Etihad miracle in the history of the Champions League? Guardiola shook his head quickly. Impossible. Liverpool is strong, but the city is not just for show. We will not let them run wild in the Etihad Stadium. At this point, he shrugged at the reporter again. Scoring 9 goals against Tottenham is not something to brag about. Manchester City can do it too. In the second round, Manchester City will use our offensive group to completely crush Liverpool's fantasy in the first half. The heavy artillery cluster returns. Liverpool sweeps Tottenham. All-round firepower strike, bombing White Hart Lane. Klopp declares war on Manchester City and will blow up Etihad. Liverpool is good at creating miracles. Guardiola faces the challenge and says he will crush Liverpool's fantasy in the first half. Champions League second round. Manchester City vs Liverpool, suspense revives. A game against Tottenham. Defeating Tottenham in their own home. Liverpool's firepower shocked the world. Those who originally thought that Liverpool had no chance of a comeback, after seeing the result of the game where they defeated Tottenham with 9 goals, could not help but become confused. Is Tottenham a weak team? Obviously not. They are the team that is competing with Manchester City for the championship. What happened? Liverpool swept all the way with heavy artillery. It was so shocking. Seeing this score, I got excited again. I can see it. Liverpool's main force and substitutes are really far apart. Substitute rifles interspersed. The main force's heavy artillery swept the ground. It's a dimensionality reduction attack. Don't be too optimistic. Manchester City is not rubbish. Their firepower group is also very strong. Compared to Tottenham, Manchester City's backline is stronger, and the defensive strength is different. I don't like Liverpool very much. But I am looking forward to the game. This game is absolutely classic. It is definitely a decisive battle. One is a precision-guided. One heavy artillery is a scumbag. The attack between these two teams will definitely be very exciting. Before the second round of the game, the entire Liverpool team took a bus and will go to Manchester for an away game. The whole team gathered at Liverpool's Melwood training base and boarded the bus. But the moment the team bus left the training base, all the players on the bus were shocked and felt an electric shock all over their bodies. There were crowds of people outside the training base gate. A vast sea of red. A team of fans waited at the door of the training base. They waved the Liverpool flag in their hands. They pulled up the huge banners they made. Especially the moment the team bus came out. The inflatable 3-dimensional model made by the fans suddenly rose up. A huge gallows. A puppet wearing a Manchester City jersey was hanged on the gallows. It looked very shocking. If Manchester City fans or Manchester City players saw this scene now, they would definitely be scared. Crazy Liverpool fans sent the team off in the crazy way they thought would boost morale the most. They killed Manchester City with a huge inflatable power model gallows. It means that the team will definitely be able to reverse the situation in the second round and defeat the arrogant City. Revenge. You will never walk alone. We are with you. Liverpool wants revenge. We will not turn back until our blood is dried. Liverpool's glory. We will create a miracle. Miracle. The synonym of Liverpool. The huge banner with huge letters on it made the whole Liverpool team dance and feel numb. The bus stopped. Klopp led the whole team off the bus. A huge sensation exploded instantly, as if to tear the sky apart. Klopp picked up the loudspeaker and shouted to the fans, "Everyone listen." In an instant, the fans were quiet and their eyes were fixed on Liverpool. I want you to stay in any place where you can see the game. I want you to watch us capture Etihad with your own eyes. I want you to watch us tear Manchester City apart with your own eyes. Wait. Wait for us to come back and join the celebration party together. The atmosphere exploded together. The fans lit up the fireworks, which bloomed red in the sky. Holding red smoke, they dyed the sky red. In the red, the Liverpool bus drove out. and behind the bus. Hundreds of Liverpool fans drove their cars and rode their motorcycles. Thousands of Liverpool red flags exploded along with the banners of the march. They formed a huge army that kept marching. They marched towards Manchester as if launching an attack. Episode 75, One Man Stands Against 10,000 Men, Suppressing Manchester City's Attack Group. Klopp roars and fires. Manchester. A patrolling policeman. He stared at the Red Army coming from the front in astonishment. He was originally responsible for patrolling Manchester City fans. He was afraid that some extreme Manchester City fans would violently intercept the bus on the road that Liverpool had to take. This kind of thing happens frequently in England, where football hooligans are rampant. There are often fans of rival teams who, when they are at home, give the rival team a profound blow. This is the second round of the Champions League. Both coaches made domineering statements. Liverpool media and fans even clamored to capture the Etihad Stadium. How could Manchester City fans not fight back? In fact, they did keep some people away, just waiting for Liverpool's bus to come. Splash them with the blue paint representing Manchester City, give them a strong blow, and humiliate them. But now, they are all as stunned as the policemen at this moment. Liverpool's bus is leading the way. A large group of people followed behind, forming an extremely spectacular army. Cars. Motorcycles. Holding red Liverpool flags. It was like a Red Army charging. Report. Report. Something big has happened. Strengthen forces on all the streets immediately. Those guys from Liverpool are coming in a legion. Send someone to support me. There must be tens of thousands of them. A large-scale conflict may break out, and we can't control the situation with just one team. The Manchester City police officer quickly opened his walkie-talkie and called out frantically. He was already panicking in his heart. If a conflict broke out, the few Manchester City fans who came could be beaten up by the group of Liverpool fans who followed them, stuffed into the trunk, and taken back to Liverpool to sink into the river. Manchester City fans were in a riot at first. In the end, they calmed down and chose to avoid it. They left the same way they came. They just sped up a lot, fearing that they would walk too slowly. That's right. They are football hooligans. They are die-hard fans of Manchester City. Loyalty to the team is above everything else. But they are not fools, they will not really seek death. The red torrent passed through Manchester and expanded the Etihad Stadium. Looking at the spectacular things in front of them, the media reporters were dumbfounded. Then there was a burst of excitement. I am a reporter outside the Sky Arena. The report I bring to you now is from outside the Etihad Stadium. Look behind me. Liverpool fans formed a huge farewell convoy, and the bus arrived at the Etihad Stadium. The female host grabbed the microphone. In addition, other media are the same. Sun reporter, Liverpool arrives at Etihad. Their motorcade seems to conquer the whole of Manchester. Team reporter, it's crazy. Look behind me, Liverpool fans are crazy, coming to cheer for their team. They vow to reverse this game. Times reporter, Liverpool torrents shuttle into Manchester. Arriving at Etihad Stadium, the battle is about to start. Just as Liverpool fans put up slogans, they come for revenge, they want to conquer Etihad. Sports Weekly reporter, it's crazy. Terrible scene. Terrible football atmosphere. The second round of the Champions League begins, the entire Liverpool team arrives at Etihad Stadium. They have to follow the fans. Look behind me. The Red Army composed of cars and motorcycles has surrounded Etihad. Crazy Liverpool fans, crazy outside Etihad Stadium, fireworks were set off to express support for the team, and the sky was dyed red. They sang You'll Never Walk Alone to tell their team that they are not fighting alone, and there are tens of thousands of Liverpool fans behind them. As the head coach Klopp said before, Liverpool created miracles in the front court. And today, they came to create miracles. The goal is to complete an unprecedented reversal and capture Etihad. Is this going to start a war? The large army arrived at the enemy's home court and dyed the opponent's home sky red. I was shaking all over. This is too crazy. Will they really fight in a while? This is the fanatical football atmosphere. The fact that they play football well is not unrelated to this atmosphere. If I were a player, I would fight for my life when I saw this scene. They really fight for the players. Instead of playing football for money. Hurry up and start. I can't wait to watch the game. This game is absolutely exciting. Pre-match press conference. Guardiola and Klopp attended together. The two shook hands. Guardiola, who was at home, gentlemanly let Klopp speak first. I don't want to say more. It's already this time, no matter how much I say, it's useless. The next game will speak for me. Klopp's face was serious. He was confident that he could turn the tables. But before the game was about to start, he couldn't help but feel the pressure in his heart. Guardiola was the same. The more important the game, the more pressure you will feel before the game. He has already felt the pressure brought by Liverpool. The opponent's injured players have all returned. They have brought out the strongest lineup to fight him to the death. It would be strange if Guardiola could be relaxed. The game will prove everything. I just want to say one thing, there is no miracle in Etihad. Well said. But the momentum is full. After Guardiola said this, Klopp responded with a tit-for-tat. Then let's see the truth in the game. I hope that after the game, your face won't be burning because of what you just said. Deed. Took photos one after another. The reporter did not continue to ask questions. Just quickly recorded. They also felt the terrifying and depressing atmosphere of this game. The less you talk, the bigger the trouble. Look at the postures of both sides. They don't have to think about it, it must be a fight between human brains and dog brains. BK. A loud bang. The door of the locker room was pushed open. Klopp strode into the locker room and slapped the table fiercely. Come on, everyone. Just now, Guardiola, that dead bald guy, swore to the reporter that there would be no miracle in Etihad. This is not taking us seriously. Haughtily looking down on us. Everyone stared at Klopp. The anger in their hearts was gradually magnified with Klopp's words. Especially a slap, slapped hard on the table. Klopp roared. Who are we? We are Liverpool. Miracle. Because of Liverpool, miracles happen in football. Think about the fans who have been following us from Liverpool. Think about their cheers and their support for you. For them. For Liverpool. And also for your dream of pursuing the Champions League. Use your goals, your defense, and your hard work to kill the guy in front of us. Even if he is a mountain to look up to, we will smash him and step over their Japan. Just like the gallows outside the Melwood training base. Drag these Manchester City bastards to the gallows and hang them. Kill them. Klopp blushed and threw a punch, screaming at everyone. Kill Manchester City. Everyone burst into passion at this moment. Shout at the loudest voice. Even if Chen Mo is the same. Because of the atmosphere at the moment, it seems that there is a flame in my chest that wants to burst out. Young man. Go to the battlefield. Take back the damn victory. Klopp waved his hand. Liverpool's starting players stepped out of the locker room and walked towards their battlefield. Etihad Stadium. Manchester City fans raised a huge tifo. The huge Manchester City giant looked down on the front, staring at the stadium with his eyes, giving people a huge sense of oppression. There is no miracle here. There is no reversal. They wanted to use this method to pressure Liverpool, who came to challenge them. But the away fans of Liverpool immediately made their counterattack. Don't look at the small number. But they are still full of momentum. The roar is no worse than that of Manchester City fans. They took out the fragments of cards in their hands and raised them above their heads. A tifo was formed in the away fans' area in an instant. Under normal circumstances, the home court will never allow away fans to raise tifos in their home court. So they will check before entering the stadium. But Liverpool fans made tifos into small pieces of cards. They stuffed them into their pockets and brought them into the stadium. You'll never walk alone. On the red floor, huge letters were pieced together to form Liverpool's slogan. In this way, the players were given the greatest support. The fans of both sides fought. The fans who came from afar outside the stadium also started the actual battle directly. They sprayed Manchester City fans. They started fighting without any hesitation. Request for support. Request for support. There is a large-scale fight here. Request for support in Area C. There are hundreds of fans fighting here. Request for support in Area E. We are seriously short of manpower here, and there are too many fans gathering, and there is a possibility of getting out of control. Various voices requesting support. The Manchester City Police Department was in a panic, and the police were sent out in teams. It seemed that they had sensed the Manchester Derby in advance. The whole city was about to explode. TV1. TV1. This is TV1 Sports Channel. Jean Jun's voice sounded in the live broadcast. The upcoming match is the second leg of the Champions League quarter-finals, Manchester City vs Liverpool at home. I am the commentator of this match, Jean Jun. I am Zhang Lu. The passionate voice ended. Jean Jun immediately started the analysis before the game with Zhang Lu to warm up. In the first leg, Liverpool was full of injuries. Because of the consecutive mistakes of Karius and Emre Can, they lost to Manchester City 0-5. Now that Liverpool's injured players have returned and all the main players are playing in the second leg, Coach Zhang Lu, do you think Liverpool has the possibility of a comeback in this game? Jean Jun asked Zhang Lu. I think it's possible. Zhang Lu began his analysis. First of all, in the last Premier League game, 3 main players of Liverpool came on as substitutes and beat Tottenham 9-1. Needless to say, the strong offensive firepower. In this game, if Liverpool's offensive group goes all out in a stable defense, it is very likely to break Manchester City's defense. You should know that in addition to the offensive trident in the front court, midfielder Chen Mo, Henderson, Wijnaldum, Milner, are all top-notch heavy gunners. Liverpool's attack may form a 3-dimensional attack without dead angles. Players from both sides enter the field. According to the old rules, let me introduce the starting lineups of both sides first. In the first half of the home game, they played the same formation as in the first round, 4,223. Goalkeeper, Ederson. Defenders, Stones, Kompany, Otamendi. Defensive midfielder, Fernandinho, Gundogan. Midfielder, Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne. Forwards, David Silva, Aguero, Sterling. Liverpool also played the full main lineup of 343. Goalkeeper, Karius. Defenders, Matip, Van Dijk, Lovren. Midfielders, Henderson, Chen Mo, Wijnaldum, Celtic. Forwards, Salah, Firmino, Maine. Look at Liverpool's midfield, it's really luxurious. For B2B midfielders, all of whom can play as defensive midfielders and have the ability to attack forward. For heavy gunners, a defense will be a huge barrier, and when attacking, it will also be 4 howitzers that have been set up. Beep. A whistle sounded. This game that is destined to be a collision between Mars and the Earth officially began. First, Manchester City has the ball. Aguero passed the ball back to De Bruyne, who dribbled forward and waited for Firmino to rush over. He immediately made a large-scale diagonal pass and handed it to Sterling on the wing. Although Sterling is a happy boy now. But it has to be said. His wing movement speed is very fast, and he is definitely the top wing fast horse in the Premier League. Except for the last shot. Speed, dribbling, passing, all at the absolute top level. However, at the moment when De Bruyne passed the ball, Chen Mo, Wijnaldum and Milner exchanged positions and quickly rushed to the wing. Sterling stopped the ball for a moment. Chen Mo rushed over. He didn't give Sterling the chance to stop the ball, turn around and sprint with the ball. At the moment when Sterling stopped the ball, unloaded the ball, and the football fell on the grass. Like a top assassin killer. He suddenly launched an assassination. A fatal knife. He stole the ball with one foot and immediately launched a counterattack. The long pass crossed the half-court, and because of the range, it shifted to the left side and passed David Silva's fast forward Salah. He raised his foot and stopped the ball forward, and then suddenly accelerated and rushed to the penalty area. Both sides did not have any reservations. At the beginning, they launched an absolute fast break. Salah saw the opportunity and made a cross, trying to find Firmino in the penalty area. But Kompany predicted the cross in advance. He held Firmino behind him, jumped up and headed the ball to Gundogan in the front court. Gundogan stopped the ball and turned around in one go, and suddenly passed the ball through Wijnaldum and Milner. He found Aguero accurately. Aguero let the ball slip behind him, then turned quickly and quickly caught up with the ball. But at this moment, Chen Mo ran back. He rushed out from the left side of Aguero and decisively fell to the ground to tackle the ball. Aguero subconsciously jumped over Chen Mo. But the ball was also tackled by Chen Mo. Beautiful. It's Chen Mo again. A tackle. Regained the ball. It's really a one-man defense. Chen Mo suppressed Manchester City's front court attack group alone. After the ball was intercepted, Chen Mo quickly climbed up from the grass, sprinted forward with the ball, and suddenly passed the ball diagonally through the crotch of Gundogan. He found Main, who was inserted in the ribs. Main passed the ball into the penalty area without stopping. In the penalty area, Firmino retreated and used his body to hold company. Seeing Chen Mo advancing to the penalty area, he immediately shot back. Gundogan and Fernandinho hurriedly chased after Chen Mo. They wanted to close the door on Chen Mo. But Chen Mo suddenly joined in and rushed out in the gap between the two of them in advance. He swung his thigh fiercely at the football. Now he has enough ammunition. After the game against Tottenham, he drew a lot of skill cards. System uses the skill card Tomahawk missile. He gave the system an order at the same time. Klopp on the sideline saw Chen Mo swinging his thigh at the football, excitedly clenched his fists and subconsciously let out a hoarse roar. Fire the ball.